Ready?
9 o'clock, call the meeting of County Meeting to order. But please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to the regular schedule of February 13, 2024 meeting of the Pipestone County Commission. Present are Rich Johnson, Doug Engel, Dan Williams, Chris Hollenford, myself, Alan Johnson, Steve Ewing, County Administrator, Kathy Pesky, Human Resource Director, and some visitors. Any additions to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I just have one on the back page under personnel. Like to add recognition of Kathy Festy on there. Mr. Chair, I've got one addition. I'll move the agenda.
Is there a second? Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried. And the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of 1/23/24. A special meeting of 1/30/24. Approve auditors warrants 1/26/24, 2/2/24, 2/9/24. Approve commissioner warrants. Do you have any extra ones of those?
No, sir, I do not.
Approve hospital warrants of $364,776.67. And approve treasurer's report from January 2024. Jared, thanks, Luke. Is there a support? Second, thank you. Any other discussions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Consent didn't carry. Welcome, Bonnie Christensen, your friends.
The whole team.
Good, good.
Nobody wants the hot seat.
Well, good morning and thank you for your time this morning. One thing I just want to say before we get started is thank you again for the beautiful office space that you provided for us. It's
Excuse me, but could you introduce everybody first?
yeah, okay. So I'm Bonnie Christensen, Regional Director for Extension, and we'll just put them on.
I'm Brody Wright. I'm a SNAP Healthcare and Wellness Coordinator here in Pipestone County, also in Lyon County.
Macy Wilstein, Administrative Support Staff for Extension.
And I'm Brandy Scott. I am the 4-H Extension Educator here in Pipestone County.
Melissa Ron, Game Production Systems Extension Educator, and I'm sure. And each of them is going to get a chance to just tell you a little bit about what's going on in their world. So yeah, thank you for that. So thank you for our office space. It's going to work very well for what we need. And so we just really appreciate you and all of the effort and work that you put into that. So thank you. We are currently in our 3rd year of our MOA, and that's how we get most of our support from our counties. Our county partners fund 23% of our extension budget, so we really could not do our work without you. We appreciate your support. Right now, the AMC Extension Budget Committee is working on our 2025 to 27 MOA. And they will present that to the AMC Extension Committee next Thursday. So we'll be hearing more about the details of that. We'll be sharing that and being able to answer questions, all that. So that is what's coming up for us. And also at our March CEC meeting, we're going to be picking the 2024 Farm Family of the Year. And we are always looking for nominations. So if anybody comes to mind for you that would be deserving of that award, please don't hesitate to reach out to the office and we will get that name on our list of nominations. So with that, we're just going to go right down the row and Brody is going to talk a little bit about SNAP Ed.
Yeah, so just to give you my report. So in 2023, we had a total of 75 participants here in Pipestone County. We did a total of 24 sessions here in Pipestone. So some current and up-and-coming events we have going on right now. We got a program about Go Out with Fruits and Vegetables. So we're working with the elementary school, just teaching kids, will encourage kids to eat more fruits and vegetables and to do more physical activity. Upcoming event we have, so starting here in the spring, We'll be working with a Pipestone super shelf, and we'll just be giving participants cooking demonstration, showing them how to make meals using food that they get at the food shelf. And so some goals that we have for 2024, we start up a new program called Soccer for Success. And the main goal is just to get kids to get their 60 minutes of physical activity in a day. And then we're gonna be just using soccer, teaching the kids the basic fundamentals of soccer. And then also throwing a nutrition aspect in that, just showing kids what healthy snack they can have if they out playing the sport, just to give them a boost of energy. And then at the end of the program is 12 weeks. And at the end of the program, all the kids will receive a soccer ball and a water bottle. So hopefully we get that going by this summer. That's the end of my report.
We'll keep going maybe, and then we'll take questions when we're all done.
Basically, pretty much.
Yes.
Okay, well, I would like to personally thank you all for attending our open house of the new Government Center Southwest. As Bonnie said, we are really proud of that new office building. And it was just really great to share that with everyone in the community. We really weren't sure what to expect for attendance of that event. However, we were really pleasantly surprised by the support of you all and our community. And just really happy to say we had a wonderful turnout. We served about 65 pieces of cake, so we'll just kind of say that was an estimate of attendance. So hopefully you all got to try that.
And that's true.
Yeah, I would just like to say everything is really running smoothly at our new office building, and we're just really happy with the amount of people who found our new location. Really easy to access, so that's really good. So thank you all.
So you each should have gotten just a quick report, I think in your packets of the 4-H kind of impact report or whatnot, from this past year of 2023. Obviously we're partway through the 4-H year. Actually 4-H starts October 1. So we're about a fourth of the way through our 4-H year. In 2023, we had about 260 youth that were enrolled here in Pipestone County. Right now we're just under 200 for 2024. And we'll be similar to where we're at. We normally pick up quite a few as we get a little bit closer to summer with my additional day camps and programming opportunities, just for some of those kids that have more of those one-time experiences, things like that. Some other just kind of facts that you guys can see on your sheets. So I just wanted to clarify that it says there's a youth average currently is 7 years in 4-H. So of all of our 4-H members, all the way from our kindergartners, all the way up to our grade 13 kids, the average is about 7 years that they've participated in the program. So we're about right at average of where Minnesota 4-H is right now. Some other kind of just neat facts. We have 73 Clover Buds currently right now enrolled in our 4-H program. And those are our Discovery 4-H members, so our kindergartners through 2nd grade. They're competitive participants, still kind of learning the ropes and whatnot. And actually I hold 3 different Clover Bud programs throughout the county, 2 here in Pipestone and then 1 over in Edgerton. And I'm actually on my 2nd day now here in Pipestone for later this afternoon. So a really, really fun group of kids to work with. We also have about 58 3rd through 5th graders. So just kind of getting into those kids, 56 6th through 8th graders, and then 61 9th through 12th graders. So it's kind of fun just to see how evenly dispersed we are among those age groups, just because you don't really know how that's going to work. We have a lot of different things planned for our summer already coming up. So we'll have about 6 day camps that we'll have and a few project workshops. And we'll have a summer intern that'll be starting here about the middle to end of May, and we'll work throughout the summer until about the middle of August. So.
I apologize, didn't get my report included because I was still in the middle of doing some of the programs I wanted to talk about today. But some of the highlights that have been going on in the ag world as far as my programming. Last time that I talked about the Parliamentary Gardener Tour, and we had that out at Pipestone SMX Point out of the Dakota. And that was on apple tree grafting, pruning, and propagation. And we had over 40 some people that showed up to that event, which led into another event that we're going to be having in April. We're actually going to be holding 2 workshops here at the Pipestone Extension there. And people are going to get on and learn how to actually graft apple trees. Really cool thing to be able to show people and how to preserve existing apple trees or get some new varieties growing on existing root stock. And we've got 2 openings or 2 sessions for that. We're almost full. It's not till the program isn't until April, but it's almost full for that. We had farmland rental rate meetings. Dave Powell out of Livingston came up and that's really targeted towards landowners, but we have farmers that come to those presentations wanting to know what should I be charging for my land going forward, and it takes into account, of course, economics and where a cash grain price is at and things like that. So good turnout this year. A lot of people are really questioning am I in line with county averages? Am I too high? Am I too low? That sort of thing. In December, I was asked to come out to the Pipestone to the high school and speak with Ms. Bloomgarden's livestock production class on an introduction to artificial insemination in cattle. And so high school students, I was able to source some reproductive tracts from our local lockers and went out and I talked about semen handling, the reproductive system and cattle. And the kids actually got to practice loading AI guns. They got to practice pulling straw semen out of liquid nitrogen. And then we got to practice passing them through, that's what you're seeing in the picture there, through the reproductive tracts. Because when we have an artificial insemination school, and we'll start teaching them before we actually go and practice on cows. We've also had, the reason I was in an open house a few weeks ago, is that we've had pesticide applicator training certification workshops that we've been doing. This is a program that is run by the MTA. Extension does all the teaching, so we hold them in Pipestone and Murray County. And if they've taken the applicator training, so they can come to that recertification workshop. Also been doing beef quality assurance certification. Dr. Joe Armstrong, our resident veterinarian with the university, he and I totally revamped and rewrote the beef curriculum for this next training cycle going forward. The national curriculum was good, but we really wanted to make it more pertinent to our Minnesota producers. We've been doing some online trainings. We've had really good numbers who are telling us they're taking that training at home in the comfort of their own home, not having to drive anywhere. So we've got one coming up next week, and then I'll be working with the out of the sale barn with Sam there to get a training cows, and they're always good about hosting us out there and bringing more people for that. And the program that I'm really proud of that we just held. So we had a Minnesota Dairy Initiative to hold a dairy producer night out, and we brought in a speaker from the CPA out of Orange City, Iowa, to talk about dairy fertilizer and profitability. And what is it going to take to bring the next generation back onto the farm? How are operations going to be sustainable? What's that magical cow side and the birds that magical cow side? It was a very, very good program. Over 61 people there. A few neighbors from South Dakota came across the border, Efforts in Pipestone County. It is a very, very good message. So I hope to have them back again sometime. And then I see that my template was off, but we just had the U of M Cow Calf Day event last weekend, Pipestone out of the Minnesota West campus. Still kind of building up our numbers after COVID, a couple years off, but we had 58 producers and industry professionals that were at the event, and just really great to come and hear some of that information from the university. So got a couple new other events and programs coming up there that are listed, but yeah, we're going to do that apple tree grafting workshop coming up in April, so we're pretty excited about that.
So does anyone have any questions for anybody here?
With Brady. Brody. You mentioned with the SNAP program, do you also work in conjunction with Southwest Health and Human Services with their SNAP program? Are those dovetail together?
Right, so that SNAP program is for people getting used to be food stamp. And our program with Extension is SNAP Ed. So it's the education piece that goes along with SNAP. So absolutely the people that are on SNAP is our target audience. And then we do the education piece around that. So yes, but not directly.
Concurrent.
Yeah,
Yes.
yep, exactly.
Yeah. There's a lot of programs like that.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to keep them all straight.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
for
for that.
asking.
Young lady with 4-H.
Brandy.
Appreciate the help the work you do with the FFA, entered an area, has actually more kids in FFA than 4-H. Yeah. At the fair too, I know they do some things together. I encourage you to
Yeah.
continue doing that.
Definitely.
Thank you for that. Any other questions?
Just appreciate what you provide for the community and the agriculture community in particular. It's very important to realize it's. You mentioned the thing out in Minnesota West. I heard that advertisement in the radio as well too. So the word did get out. I'm glad you had a good turnout for them.
They're really excited. We're expecting that. Always a good problem.
Well, thank you again for your time and thank you for your support of Extension. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
All right, first up for me today would be project updates. First update I have is for the 2024 overlays. We haven't heard anything from the contractor, but we noticed they're moving equipment into the pit, so I think that means we'll be first, at least the front half of the year, so that's good. I personally think that our early letting dates allow them to get stuff moved in before road postings, and I think that helps our prices, and I think that gets us earlier on the list, so.
With this unusual weather this winter, when are the road postings going to be on again, off again?
I haven't heard, but for example, there's a large tank that wants to move through town. And has to use some county roads because they can't get under the railroad bridge. And they wanted a moving permit, and they said, well, it's valid until postings go on. They asked when that would be, and I don't know, the state sets that, so I'm sure when they originally scheduled things 6 months or a year ago or whatever with this tank production, they figured it'd be safe to move in February, but it's one of those
Year
years.
is, they would have the frost come out of the ground in February.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say. But either way, we'll figure something out there. So yep, that's my first update. Next update would be the Stone Arch Bridge rehab. Our contractor has started doing some work on that. It's not the on-site work. There's a bunch of stuff to do off-site ahead of time, so if you go down there, you can see. Then my last update would be our first contract for box culverts this year. I'm gonna talk a little bit later about setting up, open date. So that's it for updates today. Next item for me would be to approve some right-of-way payments. There's two listed here. They're both for culvert work. The second one is not a typo. The first one is about as small as these, and if we ever get the second one, it's a larger easement, permanent, and a bunch of temporary for some. We need to get in the channel downstream to block it off. And then there's a bunch of fence with it, so that's not a typo. So it's just a large easement payment.
What roads that big?
15. Yep, I believe it was just south of that curve and by Verde.
Yeah.
If you remember that road kind of.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, I think that's the one. Well, I know it's on County Road 15, but yeah, that's gotta be one.
Sure. Is there a second? Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign.
Next up for me would be requesting approval for purchasing some crack filler material. We got two quotes, one from White Cap, which used to be Brock White, and then another from Mid-States Equipment Supply. You see the prices, the total prices were very close, but if you look at the detail, White Cap is offering about 1,000 pounds more material for that price anyway, so. Then I did some calculation and broke it down by pound delivered, and the White Cap is cheapest way to go. So white cap. Just one side note on this, when we see a final bill on it, it's probably not gonna match this because they just estimate the weight, but they measure what it actually is when it comes in, so it'll vary a little bit, but this will be close to it.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve the purchase of the white cap product.
Second, is there? Second by Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Both same sign. Carried.
Right, next item I have, if you recall, we've been talking, I think, a couple years now about the city of Edgerton doing a utility project. And instead of them tearing up the road and fixing it, and then us kind of milling it off to do our overlay shortly thereafter, we thought it'd make the most sense to work together and try to not duplicate work. So I've now been told they open bids, so our portion of the milling would be $6,210 based on the estimate. I think this is a great number. And I'd like to, assuming they award, I would like authorization to, whenever that work happens, to reimburse them for our, it's part of their contract, this milling, so. I guess I'm really looking for approval to reimburse them for our portion of the.
To clarify that, it's from the old bank corner to Mill Street, right?
Yes,
We are
sorry.
going to get charged for further down.
No, it's just the section on Main Street, which is our road. And then I think, you know, I don't have it in a 5-year plan because I didn't know when they were gonna get a grant to do this, but I think the year after they do this, we would probably do the rest of Main Street. It's last done, I think, in 2010, so it's probably a year or two early, you know, for what we normally overlay it at, but in conjunction with something like this, I think it just makes sense. So.
And the rest of the street will be both mill and overlay as well.
So for right now, they would mill off 2 inches. They would cut the trenches, do their utility work, and they would just fill once cut for the trenches, settle out over winter. And then ideally next year, we would come in and mill the rest of Main Street and we would overlay the entire thing. So it'd have that time to settle out. It'd be one nice uniform pavement job for them. And I just, to me, I think that's a way to go on this.
Considering that they might be doing the rest of Main Street too, though, at some point in time.
Okay, this is all I heard about for now.
Yeah, but so I wouldn't be too committed, yes, to next year doing the whole works.
Okay,
It's a possibility, so.
okay, I'll ask on that then. If they're gonna do that, the years to come, then we'll.
It depends on how this project goes, is what.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
doing it step by step, so.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to pave a road and have them.
Tear it
Or have
down next summer,
somebody,
yeah.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, for approval.
Okay, is there support?
Wilderness will support. I do have a question though. So again, you were estimating about a $6,000 expense. Did I hear that correctly?
So a $5 million project, so.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well, I want to make sure I heard that correctly.
yeah, we're just a tiny drop in the bucket on this whole job, but. Like
I
I said,
also-
I like working together when we can.
I was going to say, I appreciate your cooperation. You got to be coordinated.
And Andrew appreciates whatever help we can give them on that.
Right.
See us on our road, didn't it? So.
Yep.
Any other discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Next up for me would be, requesting approval to set a letting date for those first group of box culverts for this year. You'll see they're in kind of the north central part of the county. One's for Fountain Prairie Township. There's one on our County Road 80, a few miles northwest of Holland, and then the other is on our County Road 76. That is the one that had that failing pier cap from last year, so sure it'd be nice to get that one off the system. Yeah, nothing else. Is prepared, move to the set for the opening for next one, say it's a 10:30.
Is there support for that? Second. Right, second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Right, next up for me, Steve and I have been working together on that old metal truss bridge that we have. Um, Seems to be about every other year historically, we get asked if we're willing to sell it.
Or give it away.
Yeah, it always used to be the DNR bridge, I think, so we defer to them, I think they kind of got sick of phone calls or something. They didn't have a use for it, so then they kind of changed their tune and said it's ours. You send me a letter saying it's ours, and then we'll say it's ours, so we got that letter. We tried, I think I had an offer for $50 on it last year, if I remember right, maybe that was years before, but. I don't know what to say after that. I guess we tried looking at options, donating it. But I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and board members, I did some looking with Nick, I actually got a hold of the Department of Administration. The issue, one of them is that they take care of surplus equipment, and the bridge does not fit the definition of equipment. It's more like property.
Yeah,
So it's not like something with wheels or bolts, for moving things. It's not a car, truck, trailer, thing like that. So they didn't want to touch this at all. And then they didn't want to touch it more when they knew it was going to go to South Dakota. So they didn't want any part of this. So Department of Administration was out. So in looking at it, the cleanest way to do this would be for us to advertise for auction of this bridge, take the high bidder and sell it. It doesn't matter. This group sounds like a very good group. They're a 501c3, but it doesn't really fall into anything where we can, just say you can have it because you're a 501c3. If we did that, people would be coming all the time trying to get our, excess stuff we have too. So the cleanest way would be to advertise and see what we get for it. If they're the high bidder, great. So there's not a clean way we can just unfortunately give it to this, needy organization. It sounds like a great project, and talking to Kurt Houston about it, it sounds like it's fascinating what they're gonna do with it. I mean, it's gonna be over a pond over in Brookings County someplace over there where they're gonna use it for fishing in a camp area and stuff like that. Sounds like just a great project for it, but when you're dealing with government property, it's just never clean.
haven't decided that, but if we decided that we want to sell it, we'll advertise it however we want to. So it doesn't matter to us. I think my memory serves me correctly. I think I tried to give it to the city of Pipestone twice, I believe, for a trail. I think Dan probably knows more about that than I do, but I don't think that's gonna work out. Last I heard that that's done.
Yeah, this sounds like a very appropriate way to do
Well,
it.
yeah, I think we have to get out a little further.
Yeah.
and say something.
So my reason for saying that is I don't have a use for it anymore. Like, I thought it'd be great to go on the trail,
So
over here.
A lot is.
No, I didn't think to look up the dimensions. I don't fit on our trailer, so it's not that big. But
If I wasn't like 75 foot or something like that, it's a lot.
I don't think it was that.
I know it's 70. Mr. Chair, do we have other equipment that we want? Because we talked before about having our blue building surplus sale. Would it be time to put that all together, or is there not enough? Can we do this separately?
We did this a year ago. So.
I think I had a pickup a year ago. I think that was all that we built this time. I know before that we had a whole list of stuff.
I can put a blade and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. It's not pretty good.
You don't have much right now.
I know. I mean, I'm in no hurry to get rid of this either. I mean, if
I think it would be cleaner just to advertise the bridge. And
Yep.
limit the time to bid on it, whoever's the highest bid for the first time. There's quite a bit back. I mean, it's not, it's way more than 50 days. Well, then the highway department just won't cut it off. Oh, it's Marshall. You know,
Right.
50 now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. No, I wasn't gonna let it go.
Well,
for
no,
that,
I
but-
just said. It's worth something. But the junk wheels are probably good on too. The junk dealer would be on, but anyway. Yeah. So they theoretically can pay more than junk price for it. So, yeah, that's all you can do.
It's an auction, it's bid, you know.
we might be able to get it on the min bid website. It's been a while since we've done that, but there was.
Not really get out there then.
Does, what I found out with that is there's an insane amount of tire kickers that are. You gotta chase this and that down, so it takes some time, not saying we can't do that, but that does take some time, and then. They collect a fee on it, I don't remember how much, but.
It's out there, you can just tell where it's at and we'll look.
Yeah. Right,
Is there any reason we just on our website itself would be adequate advertisement, or we need more exposure than that?
People can see that.
I think then they probably garner the most interest.
yeah, I have no idea what happened, maybe we go for crazy about that.
Right. Right, no, it's- I mean, it's-
It might, but we might have to pay money to get rid of it there. I think they charge a flat fee. If it doesn't get more than that, it might actually cost us.
Yeah, let's check.
I'd recommend the board make a motion to sell the bridge at auction, something like that. So that way we get it taken care of. Seal bid, whatever. You wanna do seal bids or you wanna do it on min bid?
It makes no difference to me.
Well, I probably said that. Either-
Put it on min bid.
You had an auctioneer.
No. No, just like when you sold a truck, you took bids for it.
I'm. The advertising, at least being out there, or somebody.
Yeah, so like the min bid site, that's like an auction, an online auction.
Well, yeah. But that's statewide.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far reaching that is.
I think you'd have to be pretty broad and audience to make that interest.
Right, and that's the biggest one is we can probably get it, you know, without. Going too far out, spending too much money to do it.
I guess, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and word the motion. I'll move that we authorize Nick to go ahead and solicit bids for the bridge, that we sell the bridge. And I'll leave the details up to Nick as far as how he figures out how he's gonna have to solicit them.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
There's a second.
Do you want to vote against that, Nick?
Well, I kind of think there's a lot of ways to do that. I prefer a little bit more guidance.
Yeah,
Exactly
and
how
if you want to
this
put together
done.
some ideas, bring it back to his boss office. We don't want to lay the burden on you. We want to give the
Okay.
organization to go ahead and move on that. So
Yep, I can,
Maybe explore the costs of the various.
there you go.
yeah,
I could do that. I could probably come back with, one min bid would, or whatever.
You could say you're trying to not spend more than you're gonna get.
Right. Like, it could be a
Right.
bit of a.
Here's a like a bit, I mean, there's more than.
Yeah.
But we have to do it over.
We sold that old tack truck on, I thought it was min bid. I wanted it on there because to me, it's a very, it needed to be far reaching, and that's out of an item.
And that did work.
It did, I can't remember what we got for it, but we sold it. It was maybe, yeah, so.
Yeah.
So I took the.
It's like,
Yeah, it was-
was it Fergus Falls or something? I think they
Further.
sold it home.
I was thinking
Or maybe or
Something like, it was just,
they would have never saw it. Like on our.
correct,
Right.
correct, yeah.
but the intent of my motion is to get the ball moving on
Sure.
this, make a decision, go and sell by sealed bids. And then if you want to come back to us with details of how you're gonna do it, that's fine too.
The other discussion. It's been second.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Nick, you're good here. Okay.
I'll get back in touch with Mr. Houston and let him know that we're gonna be selling it under bids.
And-
He's welcome to bid on it.
Know where it's gonna be bid.
We don't know yet, so I'll just let him know what's going on.
I'll come back, but I'll try to have a summary of like, okay, this is what it costs to do it via sealed bids, this is what it costs to do it via bid. And we'll, I guess, then we can talk about which we think we prefer to do it, so. Okay, next for me would be maintenance updates, I don't remember if I said this last meeting or not, I did that on our new skid loader runner. And then the guys have, in the meantime, they've been doing a lot of training and some other things with repairs. Then lastly for me, I don't have a lot of details on this now, I just kind of want to get this street planted, I guess. Our County Road 51, there's a stream that runs on the South Dakota border, there's a stream that runs through our road ditch for a while. The pasture owner or renter, I'm not sure. We've been in contact with DNR, he'd like to clean the stream out, but he'd also like to move it away from on the road. I would like that. Whenever you get a stream like that away from the road, I think it's good for a safety, or from a safety perspective. And then, you know, keeps moisture away from our roads. I think it helps the foundation too. So I think it'd be a good thing to do. I'm not entirely sure if they're gonna go through with it or not, but they may ask us for some type of participation. Not sure what that'd be. Maybe we just look at that too, you know, what kind of, because there is a value to us. You know, we look at that better. Dress up our right of way when it's done. So, I don't know. We'll see if they go through with it and what they want to do, but just so you, I just want to mention it now for something to kind of think about. So
Yeah,
yeah,
That was my question too. I just would be surprised if they would be receptive to any change in any national waterway.
yep. I already talked to the DNR guy. That's obviously number one. He liked the idea too. He likes it.
Sound like a win-win.
From a road safety perspective. Also, we did this up on County Road 10, it's kind of a similar situation, but kind of different. They wanted to stream away from the road there too, because of road runoff kind of makes contaminants in those shores. Up there, I think one of the things they cited the salt. We salt our gravel roads, but I mean, there's still gravel runoff that gets down there, so. Yeah, so they like to talk about it.
I've been talking to Jeff a little bit on this. All the floods that we went through over the years, it pretty much washed over that road every year. And washes gravel off the road, so there's quite a bit of expense to clean back out, re-gravel, so it might not 100% fix that, because there's still gonna be water, even behind.
Yep.
But it could help that one, so it'd be good on our part to help out, because of savings over the years.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I'll have more to report back later. Like I said, I just kind of wanted, I didn't want to hit it with it all at once when it comes up. Other than that, any questions for me? That's all I have for now, I guess.
Thanks, Nick. Training guys. Introduce yourself, please.
Morning, gentlemen.
Commissioners, I'm Dan Butel with Butel Mosing Surveying our Marshall. Josh Stern, Bonner Rocky Stern and Elmer. We're going to talk about discussing this public land survey system monument grant. It's about remonumenting corners that have not been found or established in the county. Which is the main part of it. And also there are two different types of it. I brought Josh along, the main help, he's helping me with, I'm the county surveyor line. And I have a very small staff. And actually just myself and one other person. He's assisted me with that. I've worked with him for 7 years. Because he's got a lot of crews and he's working in the area. And it was correct. He's doing I don't do this very often, but I'm also if I do this for you, I'm also will be bringing on Desmond Gibbon with Gibbon Land Surveying. He does work with your guys' highway department when to do section tours on the roads. He has half the staff as I do because he just says he's just by himself. So we're bringing him on as a peer review surveyor. You know, this grant is geared toward having the local surveyors do this program. But Josh is here to give you more details on it. An overview on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you guys have this packet in front of you, kind of the overview of the grant program. State legislative in the last session did pass, this grant under, Minnesota statute, which basically was set up by surveyors, kind of to bridge the gap from what was when every county had a county surveyor to where we are today, where that burden of the county surveyor has been put on the taxpayers, the landowners. Just to give you a history, I believe Pipestone County was originally surveyed in 1860s, 1870s. When, basically the start of subdividing land in the state of Minnesota, an original section corner was set every half mile. That's what determines all rural property. Rural property being, in rural Minnesota, probably the biggest asset to each of the counties and to the taxpayers. That original survey was followed up by county surveyors. County surveyors were pretty much in every county through the Great Depression. At that time, most of rural Minnesota lost the county surveyors. Pipestone was lucky enough. You guys held on to a county surveyor even until the 1940s or 50s. At that time, when the county surveyor was no longer, part of the county. What happened in that time period, we continue to build roads, we maintain roads, we farm, barns get bigger, fence lines disappear, and we really have this missing time period from in Pipestone of say 1950 to where we're at today. Every year that goes by, the odds of us finding those original monuments, which are without air, there's no dimension that can make that an erroneous monument. The Supreme Court has said that that monument set in 1870 is the controlling monument for all rural property without air. So for Dan or Desi, I mean, those are the guys that do the surveying in this county, probably the most. Those guys are burdened to find those monuments, determine property, and that cost is on the taxpayer. This grant was set up to really bridge the gap and to take that burden off of your guys' local taxpayers through this state grant, which allows each county to apply for up to $300,000 of, there's no match from the county. This is straight grant money to put your local surveyors back in the field to pick a project area and really bring a bunch of these corners up to where they're at today through excavation, through history research, and actually monumenting and bringing it up to the requirement that they have in here for a corner certificate. The grant, as I was written, and the reason that the push is that we're in the next biennial, at the state legislators as surveyors, we had asked for $10 million. We know $10 million is not going to re-monument the state of Minnesota. But we knew by asking for an amount that was reasonable and putting, $300,000 to each county, it allowed for the local surveyors to be the ones that are out in the field doing this work. We wanted to avoid surveyors coming from other states, large corporations, coming in, throwing monuments in the ground and leaving. That's not what this program is set up. This program is set up for the local surveyors to be doing this work in the local counties. So that's why Dan and Desi, they've agreed to work together to make sure that Pipestone gets served with the guys that are dealing with these monuments every day.
How many of ours are certified now?
We don't know that yet, but that's part of the inventory that it's the requirements we have to get kind of in, how many corners are certified, how many corners are certified with geodetic coordinates. And then also that'll be compared to the total amount of corners in the county, original monuments. And that's how they're determining how much or how less money each county gets It's,
And if they are certified, are they recorded just like people's property?
yes,
So the original ones are all recorded now?
Yes, so the original corners from the 1870s, those are recorded, I mean, not only, they're recorded federally with the state and with the county. The original county survey record, or not even original county survey, the original government land office surveys are available at the recorder's office. They're also available at the state historical records also. So the original ones from the 1870s, those are the ones set without paper. And that's for every quarter that exists. That's gonna give you your total count for Pipestone.
Right, and then are most of these like under roads or people's fields or?
all of the above.
Yeah.
Every half.
Okay.
Supreme Court ban without air, that scares me a little bit, because how do you know if they haven't been tampered with? Now, we know that here in this building, in fact, on the courthouse steps, there is a ridge mine up there. Obviously, that one hasn't moved. How do you know that somebody hasn't out in the field someplace just in dirt, picked it up and moved it somewhere?
We have records of with distances and so, and to determine
From other
from
points.
other points, yes, to determine whether that's.
And my other question is now, how does this work now with the new technology of GPS systems as well? How does that integrate in together with these monuments?
Well, what we're gonna do, we're gonna find these monuments and put a position on it, and then we record it, and then that's the final product, kind of what we're looking for. Everything is tied together on one system, but we got, the GPS is mainly used as a measuring tool, some of the misconception, you have GPS. Just walk right to the format.
You still have to have a reference to measure off.
Yes.
Yes.
And
So-
one of the deliverables as part of this is that geodetic coordinate is required on the face, along with a point system that will allow these coordinates in these certificates to be loaded in GIS. And these corners are what builds your base map for all GIS systems in the state. So.
And the other mine, like I said, the one here at this courthouse, that's one of them that you use to reference off of. So this one's accurate, and you find another one's accurate, you'll be able to triangulate onto others.
But the one that I'm thinking at the courthouse here is not a section. Half mile.
But it is a monument.
Yes, it is. Correct. You were correct.
Geodetic.
It's probably for laying out the city.
Right. So the scope of the project that we're talking about then is to go out and reaffirm all of those monuments if they are where we think they are. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that would be, that's the long-term goal of this. It's gonna take, many years, many grants in order to get the entire county done. As part of this first initial grant, you're gonna be picking a project area of what can get completed within this time frame, which is only a couple of years. So you're gonna pick that. We understand, as surveyors, there's parts of this state that are gonna be, 30, 40 years before they're gonna be fully monumented.
Okay.
It's a large task. We're trying to bridge a gap from 1950s to where we're at today. That doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with one grant.
And I see that Bolton Mink is going to be addressing this a little later as well too. Is this on the same subject? So what is the questions brought before us at this point to apply for this grant that we're talking about?
Question with it. If you would want us to do.
I see.
It's what we do the grant. I've worked in Pipestone County. I don't know if I sent out also called resume, to work one place, so.
But when we apply for this grant, we as a board need to pick who we're going to work with for the grant. So that's the question.
So part of the selection in this grant is that you have a contracted surveyor. That, as part of this grant, there wasn't a county that was expected to know, how many sections were, how to review that data, how to apply for this grant. So as part of this application for the grant, they really wanted to make sure that you have a surveyor in place that can handle this grant, knows the local records, knows the local county, and has worked in this area, that is a huge selection part of being accepted.
The
for this
criteria.
grant. Yeah, in order to receive funds for this grant, you have to prove that. So you have to contract with the surveyor to oversee this grant process. And I believe that's why there's, Bolton may be coming later is they want to be contracted.
Same kind of clarification. I was trying to get caught up. Sure.
Are we indemnified for anything over top of the grant?
No, you're just, depends on what your resolution. I mean, there's other counties that, as part of that resolution, are also making the contracted surveyor, the part-time county surveyor. But you don't have to. For this grant, it just has to be a contracted surveyor relative to this grant.
Are we talking townships now or smaller dimensions of that for? So you can't do the whole county at once. So are you gonna do one separate township or are we gonna do some all over the county?
Well, that's where we'd want to work with the county staff to kind of define either a corridor, certain townships. It really comes down to getting that count of the corners, figuring out where that need.
And what would be priority for that? Roads, bridges, lakes?
That would be your guys' call,
What's our decision?
or the county engineers.
Yeah.
He's got a report on he's doing in the next couple of years. Focus on that.
Is there a number that you apply for a grant or you just gonna apply for the grant and see what you get
You could apply up to 300,000.
up to?
So we'll look at a project area. Once that project area has been decided, most rural Minnesota is gonna score pretty high based on the selection. We're gonna recommend that you apply for as much, but we can expand or contract that project area to fit what we believe is gonna take up to that 300,000.
Does the railroad have that surveyed? Well. Railroad goes through our county.
Oh, yes.
Is that a place to look or not to look?
They have historical records.
Right.
So I mean, that could be a corridor that could be worked on as a mile each side of the railroad. Really, the nice part about the grant is it allows that your county staff can kind of focus on a need for an area, especially this first go around. And then working with Grant or with Dan can, kind of decide how much area can we cover and can we get done in the next 2 years and what's that gonna cost?
Any other questions? Yes.
I'm a little confused by the fact that currently they will rank the counties based on a formula that includes the percent of certified corners with known coordinate values. And yet we don't know what that number is. How do we find that out in order to be paid using that formula?
That's gonna be part of the grant application. So once the surveyor is selected, your county recorder or staff within the county, they have the number of certified corners. And then we can review those to see how many meet the requirement. That's gonna give you the number with the geodetic requirement. And then you take that by the number of corners that are original, by your original government land office survey, and then it takes that formula of the number of corners and it puts it over your basically budget or income for the county.
Right, total county revenues multiplied by percent of certified corners.
And that was put in place to make sure that this money is getting spent in the rural Minnesota, that those counties are gonna be the ones that are rated highest, and that this money isn't going to, let's just say, the county.
Right, no, I understand that, based on the examples I gave in the handout. So then I guess my question for the recorder is, do we actually have that number?
We'd have to pick through 1,404 records that we have on file to determine what qualifies as certified for these purposes. I don't feel that I'm qualified to determine which ones are eligible and which ones are not. Which I've talked to other county recorders as well that have been presented. Other surveyors, and they've had their highway engineers do that since they're more experienced in all of the lab 2, launch 2, whatever codes that are supposed to be on these surveys.
Okay, so then Nick, are you up for that?
Each made a face back there.
Right, into the miles.
The problem is there's a time crunch.
Right, I mean, because the deadline for this is like, what, sometime later this month, isn't it?
Next 30 minutes.
Next week.
Yeah, the 22nd.
You have to have a letter of intent.
Letter of intent and a resolution.
So, Mr.
The
Chair,
resolution, I don't think has to be until the actual application, which is due.
April.
April.
And those numbers, I mean, can be the letter of intent, that's gonna ask for those numbers. Now we can refine those numbers as we go to the final application. But yeah, whatever survey company that you pick is gonna have to work with your recorders, your highway engineers to not only get a project area, but also to get those final numbers.
Do you have any idea how much of an area you could potentially do in the time frame that they're allowing?
Be like for the final product, the project.
I mean,
And
for this,
Edward's question is,
for this particular grant cycle, for whatever dollar amount up to 300,000 that you applied for, how much land do you think you could potentially cover and get down, completed within 2 years or whatever the grant cycle is?
So that comes down to what those counts look like and where they're located on the map. I know Dan and I were looking at one this morning, was that for Lincoln? That's gonna be a township and a half along with the highway corridor. That's outside those two townships. Other projects that I'm working on, we have 3 corridors that we're working on. And one, we have 2 townships, and another one, we have 1 township. So it really depends on what records are available and how intense, the county survey records are in that area. That's where it really takes a collaboration between the surveyor and the county staff to make sure that you're selecting an area that is giving you your best.
So knowing there's 1,400 and some corners in our county, how many are you gonna have time to look through in the next, 8 or 9 days?
Me personally, I don't have any because I'm going on vacation the next 2 weeks.
So,
I can provide records and give access to records. They're all public, so they're on our public computers, but
right,
me
okay,
personally, I am not in the office next week, so.
right, so then my question for Nick is, in the next, say, 8 or 9 days, how many could you potentially look at and, determine whether they qualify or not?
I'm out next week too.
Or are we even gonna be able to make this cycle, let it boil it down to?
So what we can offer is, as long as those records are made available to us, we can go through those records and get counts in a matter of a couple of days.
Oh, okay,
So,
you're able to do that on your own and you don't need anyone?
well, we need the records. That's where we can't come to the recorder's office and sit at a computer and do those records. Those records have to be made available to us at our local workstation so that we can, we have staff that's working on that in other counties also. So they're familiar with it. They go through, they analyze what is existing. They take the total number of counts of the original corners, compare them, and that's how we get the counts for the letter.
So are you able to share that information with anyone's firm?
I would need Bill's help, but we could probably get it figured out.
our records are public, correct?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
It's public record.
So it's like wrap my head around this. So the question is does Pipestone County apply for this grant? And if we do apply for this grant in a short period of time, do we go with which firm do we pick? So even though on here it's on the agenda, it's for information, but we're gonna have to make a decision today which firm we pursue. So
And
when
we're
you're telling,
still here from another firm.
right,
Mhm.
right. And what, so basically you're giving us your resume, your history with us. You said you worked with us back from the 50s, basically. But,
Oh, flat.
No, but actually, my former partner was started with the 92 Lyle Mosley. He's worked in Pipestone County since late 70s.
Yeah. So we have to choose which firm that we work with to make this application and for this grant as we move forward to improve the accuracy of our grants.
Right,
Yes.
So we do need to make a decision today on which firm we pursue this with.
right, right,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Sure. We can't make that right now.
No,
When you're looking through the records, you're just looking
whether something is certified or not certified.
For the letter of intent.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just gauging or not gauging through, looking through, and that's a matter of minutes on some of them. I mean,
For record.
for the certification, you're almost seeing if they're certified.
Yeah, the letter of intent is a pretty, I mean, it's a fairly simple online document that gets filled out. I mean, the biggest part of paging through those records is having those records.
Well, and that's what I've seen here, gauging through. You can go through quite a few in a short time, just see if they're certified.
Any other questions for these gentlemen? Nick?
I'd like to add, they talked about working with, Desmond Given. He's done quite a bit of highway work for us. So they talked about how they've done. John Mosing has been working for Pipestone County for a long time, so has, Desmond.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation. We'll get back to you.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
All there. CDs and. Pretty similar.
Always. I've also,
You have also.
they're mutilated here and there.
Together, there's got some correction allowed. Some of those are, give yourself a little more land.
Right?
When you got a GPS, yeah, nothing that's 180. It's 181 down to 78. You can start.
Even the mile markers on roads, not all roads are.
County 18, so.
Mr. Folger.
Mr. Bill.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a small change we want to make to the standard form. The sheriff's office is now using our standard data information disclosure request form. Maybe we won't call it. The sheriff's office has a standing policy that they do not take checks, they take cash. So, in order to head that off, we need to change one line on the payment on page 9. We're gonna add that. The sheriff's office requires a cash payment for doing so.
There's a approval.
There's one for that.
Yes, there is. Well,
Any other discussion? Cash is still paying on the sheriff's department, right?
Yeah,
Should be for everything. Discussion? Say aye. Full same sign. Carried.
thank you.
Very good. Wasn't confusing.
Grants.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Mike. What up, Mike?
Ready? Perfect time. That was all right then.
Welcome.
Mr. Chair, members of the board. We're here today for, the first thing was Minnehaha County Juvenile Detention Agreement. I think I got copies to Steve. but
Yep,
you
they've got
probably
it.
have copies of the agreement in place.
Mhm.
We've been having issues most recently with getting juveniles placed in facilities. It's been difficult to find a place. A lot of the facilities are hours away. We've been using a place in Fargo. And it has been challenging to say the least. So we met as a group here a while back and kind of threw some ideas around and came up with reaching out to the Juvenile Detention Center in Minnehaha County. Checked with the main on any logistical issues with moving juveniles across state lines and such for criminal matters, and there was nothing there that he felt was an issue, so. Myself and the director got together in a few conversations and came up with an agreement, to my surprise, I guess, that we're gonna be able to get it together and done. We've actually used it once already since we talked, and this went well. So what we're looking for today is a resolution for your guys' support and getting into this agreement with Minnehaha County and for detention services for juveniles. This contract will be good for 1 year. And then renewed upon the year ending if it was, everybody's in good standing, which I don't see that being an issue as far as our involvement with them. So the fee is $458.48 per day for the days that we are using it. So some history with that is we were trying to get contracts for other juvenile detention centers within our state, like we would commonly have used, and they were looking at that fee per day times 365, regardless of whether you used it or not, just to have a bed. This agreement is not securing a bed 100% available for us, but the director down there has assured me that they will be more available than what we've seen in the past. At this point, they're not really turning away anybody, but times are changing and things are changing with it, so we'll play that by ear. But obviously, we have absolutely no appetite, I would think, in entertaining some kind of number like the other facilities would want to do for that, so. Did anybody have any questions about anything else? I have not sent it to Domain.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
Have any numbers as far as what's the frequency you typically use, something like that?
So it's kind of a fluid thing, right? I mean, sometimes we're using these, like I said, we've used since Thanksgiving, when we started really looking hard at this, we've had one juvenile in that facility now. That was for 3 days. Typically the holidays, Christmas time, Thanksgiving gets to be a little more challenging for those situations. We utilize it more. Could be 6 a year, could be 3 a year. Most of the time it's short term. It's not, 60, 90, 100 days. Typically, it's just to get things in order for this juvenile to be placed into some kind of treatment or facility, or long-term plan, outpatient or inpatient. The mediation on that is when we're having the crisis to the time that could get in place. So if you deal with that on a Friday, typically by Monday or Tuesday, the county attorney's office is moving forward with whatever they needed to do with child protection or whoever else. Yep. And in some of those situations, we're always trying to do that in places where we can do that, right? In situations, these are for the ones that are just in a crisis so bad that they can't be dealt with at home or in a setting even by family members. So that as much as we deal with these situations, this is really kind of few and far between, but we still need that place to go.
Right.
Because we can't house them here in our jail.
If nothing else, it's 200 miles closer than Fargo.
It is, and that obviously time, expense,
Miles of the property.
danger. You've got somebody in your custody, So it's really gonna be a really great solution. So for us, I believe.
Mr. Chair, I move that we enter this agreement then with Minnehaha County, and I, in concurrence with what Chris mentioned, I would like to have the Domain take a look at before we officially ratify it, but I move that we do approve this agreement.
Resolution 59-11-24.
No, that's a different one. This is just the agreement.
Yes, the resolution is information.
Support for Dan's motion. Any other discussion?
Having worked with Mike and also that we had that meeting that day with me and so forth too, and this is really a very good option for us, better than any other option we've seen. It's been working.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carries.
I'll send that up to Domain and Steve right away. Greg, when I get
Okay.
back.
Sounds good.
The next thing we had was, a joint powers agreement for our, interaction with the Minnesota Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force. This is something we've had in place for, to my knowledge, two contract cycles, 10, this would be years 12, 11 through 15 actually. So this is a renewal. It's went well. It doesn't come at any cost to the county. The termination of this contract is 30 days notice, or if the federal funding dries up, then that obviously dissolves the task force in general. This task force involves obviously what it says, internet crimes against children, some children that are being exploited on the internet. It also goes out to, you know, investigations we have related to predators who are not just using internet, but other means as well, technology and even face-to-face contact. So this has been beneficial to Pipestone County, especially to the sheriff's office and actually this region and law enforcement, because this grant has helped cost share the software we use to forensically download electronic devices. So we have one of those right here in our office, and they helped cost share that. So it's been a huge benefit to not only the area law enforcement, the Department of Corrections, Intensive Supervision Department. Those people all come to us and we help download some phones when they need that too. So it's really been a great asset for us. And then of course, all the intel we get when you're doing investigations related to internet crimes, obviously no borders exist, right?
Mhm.
So this task force helps bring all the resources the federal government to our disposal as well. Plus all the intel we get when we have someone, and we have had cases locally within our jurisdiction that we've arrested predators who have been exploiting people from our jurisdiction, unfortunately. So that's proven to be pretty beneficial, and all the electronic analysis and stuff it takes gets done and gets brought to us in a nice package, and it's just a great thing. So.
The resolution 59-7-24.
Thank you. Is there support for that?
Second.
The move and supported. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Also, same sign. Here it is. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Mike. I'll get signatures for you and get it up to you.
Okay, then I'll get back with you.
Okay, thank you.
10:30 vote was made.
Kyle and Nick are not in the room. I would like to make sure they're here. I'd like those guys in here as well. Sure. We've got personnel items to do as well, so we can make mute here. All right, we're back.
We're back in session. Joe,
Back to surveying again.
welcome. Yes, thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
So yeah, I'm here to talk about the section corner grant stuff. I understand you guys already heard some information, so if I'm repeating what you already heard, you want to steer me in a certain direction, ask questions, go right ahead. I guess I'll start out by just saying why I reached out to Pipestone County and wanted to come here. We've been very selective with the counties we work with, because these projects are going to be quite large, and high dollar value for a survey project anyways. And you don't want to overextend yourself. There is concern at the state level that, geez, do we even have enough surveyors in the state to spend all this money? There's $9.2 million right there. So very selective in who we reached out to. And personally, I'm just working with Faribault County. That's it. And then I wanted to come in to speak with you guys because recently, about 5 or so years ago, we started working for the city of Pipestone as their city engineer. Travis Hunter from my office is sitting back there. So we've been in town more and more over the years. We have survey crews in the area here all the time now, you know, in the last 5 years, we even have an office in town, which is right across the hall from where Kyle's office was before he moved. So we have a presence here, and that's why we wanted to reach out to you guys and talk about this grant funding, and we thought it made sense, you know. We're not one of these firms that are just going from county to county to county, you know, just, you know, we were, like I said, very selective on, because you want to do a good, you know, whatever counties, you know, pick to work with you, we want to do a good job. We don't want to overextend ourselves and have too much work to do. So, me personally, like I said, Faribault County, and I'd love the opportunity to work with you guys too. So that's why we're here. That's why I'm here today, and why I reached out with this. So getting into the grant, you know, I sent a statement of qualifications about our firm. We have worked with a lot of counties over the years, specifically in southern Minnesota, and it's all in that stuff. I don't really, you know, I understand you guys may want to concentrate more on the actual grant program, and I figure you guys can just read our qualifications and some of the other stuff there. But so as you guys know, or probably have heard, you know, the state legislature has, you know, passed funding for remonumenting, restoring, updating section corners, you know, public land survey section corners. I assume everybody knows what those are. I don't need to talk about that at all. But yeah, you know, they form the framework of all property boundaries in the county here and across the state and most of the country anyway. So it's a very big deal. There's not a lot of states in the whole country that have had a statewide effort to monument their section corners. And as I was mentioning in the back, that, you know, the big counties in Minnesota, the 7-county metro area, every one of those counties has all their section corners established. They're coordinated. You can go online, get the coordinate. Everything's available to the public. So it's one of the few things that the state legislature has passed that literally is going to benefit the whole outstate of Minnesota more so than the metro area, because them counties are, you're probably not going to receive hardly any grant funding because they've been funding it themselves for years now, and they can afford to fund it themselves and have been. So this grant is really a benefit to the outstate areas. There's 2 types of grants. The type 1 grant is literally for the land surveys to restore the corners, maintain the corners, update the corners. The type 2 grants, they're called, is for records, updating records. For example, you know, the county, maybe they can scan all the survey information they do have in the county recorder's office, any old certificates, surveys that have come in from private surveyors. They could scan all those, maybe get them in a GIS somehow, and the cost for that would be a type 2 grant. As I mentioned before, there's, you know, $9.2 million that's available. The larger goal here is they're hoping that the legislature would fund this. You know, it's $10 million is what it was, but the 800, you know, it's only 9.2 is available because the other 800 is for the state administration and everything. But they were hoping for, you know, $10 million for the next 35 years for a grand total of $350 million, which is a ridiculous amount of money for section corners, and quite frankly, you know, last for 35 years. But the legislature in the last legislative session said, okay, we'll pass it for 1 year to see how it works, see if you guys spend all the money. And then they're going to take it up at the next legislative cycle that's coming up here shortly. So the hope is that we funded it for this first go around, and if it goes well and everybody likes it, goes good, and they get it funded for the next 35 years. So assuming that it's not just a one-time deal and it is going to get funded continually, you know, it's a benefit for the county needs to identify a surveyor. Since you guys don't have one on staff, you don't have a full-time county surveyor, or part-time county surveyor. As required by the grant and the funding, you have to identify a licensed land surveyor to provide the professional and technical oversight of the grant. Also ensure, you know, quality control measures and corporate incorporating all that into the grant. One thing I touched on earlier, the comments I've heard at the state level about, geez, I hope we have enough surveyors to actually spend all this money. There is a capacity response in the grant where you have to state, this is our capacity, this is our workforce, that this, basically prove to the state that you're not taking off more than you can chew, and you can actually complete the work that you're granting for. So like I said, I got the statement of qualifications. So one of the few things I will say about Bolton and Maine is, I would be, if you choose to go with that, I would be the project manager and the guy in charge of everything. And I have 5 employees that I work with in our Fairmont office. So that represents, our 5 employees, working 2,080 hours a year. We got our capacity of about 10,500 hours throughout the year. Assuming a grant, the grants are anywhere from 100,000 to 300,000. So assuming you even grant for the full amount, 300,000, that's going to equate to about 15% of our yearly workload, which is totally doable. I mean, we don't have 85% of our workload even filled yet for the year, so 15% is totally doable, locally from our Fairmont office. But in addition to that, just our southern Minnesota offices, which include Fairmont, Mankato, Sleepy, Rochester, we have 25 total staff. So doing the math on that, assuming all that staff we have, it's only 3% of our yearly work. And then just to take it one step further, with 85 survey employees throughout our whole entire company, that's less than 1% of our yearly work. So I think like I said, we're totally capable of handling the large work locally, but we can always rely on our other staff, should we get the pinch or whatnot. So, and then one more thing about us, I mentioned we had an office in town here. Assuming we work with us, we don't do a lot of, our thing at Bolton, we work for public entities, we work for cities, counties, states. That's kind of what we do, that's what we're good at. We do some private boundary surveying around the area, not a lot, because that's not our focus. But, having our office here, I would totally envision, this is right up our alley, working with the county, we don't want to just come in, do a job and leave. I would envision working directly with the county staff on a weekly basis, a couple times a week, utilizing our office we have here. As we're going through the project, and be present throughout the year, throughout whatever these needs are, throughout the project that we do eventually grant for. I wouldn't expect you guys to do the letter of intent that's due next week. I fully envision working with you, probably spending a lot of time here even next week. There's a lot of things that are involved. That's pretty simple, you fill out the form online and stuff, but you do need some narratives and write-ups and whatnot, and how it's going to benefit the county and how it's going to benefit the public and this and that. I would envision, working with the county, doing most of those narratives myself, writing them up for the county, and meeting with the county staff, determining what their goals and needs are, as we go through the process. And more, I hate to use the cliche term, but an extension of the county staff is what I would envision myself being, and Bolton and Maine being, with our office here and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, we're not just gonna say, hey, go get this money, let us do the work. We're gonna be just as involved as you guys, getting us through this grant cycle, and then eventually into a project. And there's gonna need to be a lot of discussion, as to what the county needs are, and where they might want to start with the remonumentation. Some counties are choosing, let's start in the areas where there's more populous of people, start in those areas. Other counties are, maybe thinking that, well, a lot of our county roads, I'm not saying that's the case here. A different county, that maybe they're redoing county roads, and we know there's not a lot of section corners in county roads because they've been overlaid and haven't been maintained. So maybe we want to start with doing everything on county road, just an example, but you know, those are the conversations you'd have. Deciding where the needs are and what you wanted to accomplish. But getting into the specific grant itself, again, if you guys have heard all this and you want me to breeze through it, I will. If you got questions or want to steer me in a different direction, go right ahead. But I mentioned, you know, the minimum requirements of the grant is you have to identify a licensed land surveyor, which is why I'm here today. And then there's some statistics. I actually reached out to Kyle last week and said, hey, you might want to get started on this just so we get ahead of the game, regardless of who you guys work with. But you know, there's certain inventory of the corners that they're looking for, just so the state has an idea of what the condition is. You know, how many corners have certificates of location on them? How many corners do we know we have a coordinate value on? Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, we found out in the first presentation that we don't have that number. And apparently there's like 1,400 and some known sites or whatever in their county. And the recorder and the engineer are both going to be on vacation this coming week. And so if you were to get this work, that means that you or your staff will be needing to come up with this number by the 22nd.
Yep.
How does that work for you?
It seems like a really daunting task. But I literally just did it in Faribault County. I told you guys I'm working with Faribault County. I did it last week in Faribault County and it took me a half a day. It's amazing. So I'm like, oh man, that's gonna take me like weeks to go through count everything. But when you go township by township, you kind of know, I mean, there's 133 corners in a township and you know, you don't want to double count the corners on the township line. So, you know, it's pretty easy to come up with, you know, the overall total number and then, yeah, the 1,400 records.
You're trying to find out how many are currently certified versus those.
Yeah,
you need to still.
versus the total. And I mean, it seems really daunting, but we literally in Faribault County, they had about, I think they had close to 2,000, but we literally run through them all, pulled out the ones that had coordinates, you know, and then counted those up. It's tedious, monotonous work, but it doesn't take forever. I mean, I would propose, I mean, I'd come in here, me and one of my staff members, somebody, and spend a half a day or a day in the recorder's office, and we'd have all that information. And I would totally envision coming over and doing that, you know, if I was chosen. From experience, I thought, like I mentioned before, man, that's a daunting task to do that, but I was surprised at how quickly it actually went.
Do you have any idea like how much of the county you think you could do within the grant cycle period?
Yeah, you know, it's gonna be about 150,000 for a township. So we're, you know, 2 townships would probably be the max. And then it depends, you know, I put on the statement of qualifications that, you know, cost per corner is anywhere from 500 to 1,500. It all depends on you. We'd have to dive into the research. And I have a spreadsheet all put together where once we do the inventory, we can plug all this stuff in. So like you got an advantage with the highway department, you know, they've been shooting corners. They have coordinates on a lot of the corners. It's going to help immensely. It's very, very valuable, but it actually benefits the county in a, you know, unforeseen way. You got all this information on the corners, but it's not certified by a land surveyor. So when you submit for your grant application, your percentage is going to be really low, which means your grant's going to score higher. Right. But technically our percentage is not really low because of all the work the highway department's been doing over the years. So it's kind of got that unforeseen benefit where we do have a lot of information, but we don't have to report it in the grant because it wasn't certified by a licensed surveyor. And I'm thinking, you know, this county with all that information the highway department does have with, you know, the coordinates and stuff, we're gonna probably would be able to tackle two full townships because you're gonna be on that lower end. If they got a coordinate and there's a monument in place, and we already know there's a monument in place, we take the highway department's coordinate, we can literally drive out there and go right to it and check it. Now, what we're gonna do as a licensed surveyor then is to go through the research and say, is that monument the right monument? I would say more times than not, it's going to be, but you know, we can follow the evidence back. If we don't know where that monument came from, and we have record that there's a stone monument or something, you know, we might make the decision that we want to go after that stone monument just because we don't know where that iron rod came from. Or maybe we got some record to say, oh, there's a stone monument, the iron rod was set on top of it, that's the iron rod. We won't have to do anything else with that corner, so those are gonna be the ones that are on the lower end, you know. $500, so I'm thinking you're gonna have a lot of corners that are on that lower end of that range. Which is gonna allow you to do more corners. So
do you have to physically locate this marker then?
yeah, we'll go locate it, the county highway department's coordinates, so make it very easy for us to do that, but we'll want to go shoot it ourselves and. You know, verify that coordinate's correct.
You have to tear up the tar or something if it's underneath the tar.
Yeah, if it's underneath the tar and we need to shoot it, we'll have to. Another discussion that we'll have, you would have going forward is the county would get that's reimbursable through the grant. So we may want to inventory how many of them are on, you know, blacktop roads or concrete roads. And, you know, work with the highway department to see what the cost is to repair those, and that could be, that's reimbursable through the grant.
That would consume a lot of the grant.
That would consume a lot of grant. Depending if there's a lot of that going on, then, you know, maybe you are just down to one township. I will tell you, in what I've been seeing is most counties are kind of doing township at a time. You know, one township a year, and the remonumentation that has been going on in some of the other counties prior to this grant, they've been self-funding it. They were doing one township a year. That's pretty standard. But we'll have to do that whole inventory, you know, next week. Well, actually, we don't have to have it done by, we have more than a week, because that stuff doesn't have to be on the letter of intent, but. Yeah, before April 5th, we'll have to go through it and, you know, probably be assisted with your GIS group too, which, you know, going back to what I said, we totally be working together, you know. They could probably easily do a query and figure out how many corners are in a blacktop road, and then we can look at the records and see, you know, is there a monument at the surface, is there not? Our budget up to that. So again, sorry, my long-winded answer is 1 to 2 times.
Right, but they will have to come up with a number of certified ones by next week.
Yes, yep. And like I said, if you guys choose to work with me and both make up, as soon as you let me know, I mean, I could be over here later this week, getting started, or next week for sure. Sure. So that's the whole inventory thing, you know, minimum requirements, few other minimum requirements that their county board, you know, approval of prior to the grant. It doesn't have to be done for the letter of intent, but prior to the grant, there has to be a board resolution for it. And the grant is specifically intended for counties. So the county is the financial agent of the grant. You're going to get the money from the state, and then we would send invoices to the county. And the person in, yeah, it goes without saying, but I thought it was funny, the person in the county, the financial agent in the county can't have a felony financial crime in the last 10 years. I think it's gonna be a problem. And so the priorities.
Does that mean convicted? Just kidding.
The priority is gonna be to the counties that can demonstrate a financial need and have, you know, quote unquote poor records of counties, you know, certificates of coordinates. The whole, I should have said this in the beginning, the end goal for the state is they want all the section corners monumented with the geodetic coordinate and available to the public. That's why we got this, you know, the type 1 grant, the type 2 grant. You know, we get a certificate of location showing that corner with the coordinate on it. You know, ideally, they would want it in some sort of web-based format, probably attached to your GIS interactive map that anybody from the public could go pull them up and look at. And that's the way it is. The metro counties already have that, and that's the goal of the state, is to get to that point, you know, statewide. So the priorities in grant, you know, it's based on the financial need. It's based on the total unrestricted county revenue divided by like the percentage of corners that you already have coordinates on, which is probably less than 5%. The revenue of the outstate counties is, you know, much less than the metro counties. So we're going to score really high in the grant, and with the desire of the state to literally spend all the money so they can they don't spend all the money, the legislators are gonna say, well, you don't need any overage, you need to spend it on first. So with their desire to spend all the money and, you know, the county does think very. More than, 99% sure you're gonna get a grant if you fill out a grant.
What happens if you ascertain that there's money was supposed to be here and it's over there instead?
Then, yeah, that's where the professional decisions come into play as a land surveyor. Researching the evidence we do have, I mean, it's you gotta think long and hard before you don't accept one monument versus another. Sometimes there's two monuments there, one here and one here, which one is right? And it's going through all the evidence you can possibly find and then making that professional opinion as to where it is. Sometimes where you mentioned, you think it's over here, there's no monument here, but there's a monument over here. You wanna trace that before you discount that monument.
The one over here says, well, the real monument is 20 feet that way.
Yeah, it's all about going through the research, and it's not only the research, sometimes it's going through the deeds of the landowners. If there's a meets and bounds description and you can draw out that description from this spot and it seems to match everything, but if you draw it out from this spot, you're 10 feet away from all the fences and everything, so there's deed evidence as well as, historic survey evidence and all sorts of things that, I mean, we as surveyors take all that into account before we make a determination. And, and sometimes it's digging for a monument that you had record that was set 100 years ago, and then you have to do it. Hopefully you can find it.
Are these things all dated too, the monuments that are buried?
Usually, yep, they're usually dated. Anything that's in the recorder's office can have a date on it. Sometimes you find a monument that you have no record of it being there. There's no records in the recorder's office. There's no deed evidence that it's there. But you go out and you find a monument. Well, that's where you make a decision. Yeah, we don't know where that monument came from, but there's no other monuments out here. It fits the fence line, then you make the professional determinations. Okay, that's the corner, and our certificate of location is always, you have a picture of the corner and all the ties with the front and the back sides. It's a statement of evidence where you describe all the evidence you found in that corner to kind of lay out how you made the professional determination. So in that particular case, you found a monument, you had no record of it, and we would put it there as like, put in the statement of evidence that, yeah, we found this monument. We didn't find any other monuments. We didn't. It does fits the fence line. It's right in the middle of the road, so we're going to make the professional opinion accept that as the corner because it makes sense, so. Yes, eligible expenses, like I already had mentioned, the, repairing roads, if we dig in a road, dig in it, sometimes you've got a backhoe on a township gravel road and you're digging a 4x4 foot hole that's 4 feet deep, hiring the township or somebody to bring a load of gravel in or something, that would all be able to be reimbursed by the grant. And again, we would, what we would do in that situation as we're going through our inventory, in our research prior to putting the grant together, we would probably come up with on average, maybe we dig for 20% of the corners or 25% of the corners. We kind of look at what the overall evidence as a whole and kind of, estimate. We think we're gonna have to dig at 20% of the corners, so then we can figure out a budget or what that's gonna be. For, a couple loads of gravel per dig or something just to repair the township road. So that's all covered by the grant. Obviously, contracts required to land surveyors is covered by the grant. Corner excavation costs are covered by the grant. So if we do have to dig for a corner, I don't know what you guys would want to do. Other counties, the county would provide a backhoe and an operator, or we would go sub-consult with somebody to do that. But those costs would be covered by the grant. So if the county is going to provide a backhoe and an operator, then the county would determine, what's that cost the county. per hour or per day. We can get that included, so the county can get reimbursed for that. Land surveyor peer review of project decisions and deliverables is covered by the grant. Again, we kind of have that internal peer review at Bolton Lake. We got, 12 licensed land surveyors, and we do talk, we get a questionable corner, one of these that you were talking about, asked questions on earlier, what if it's over here, and it's monument over here, those types of decisions. That's why we're, the benefit of working with a bigger firm like ours is we have regular meetings, and if we got one that's kind of iffy or we're not sure, we routinely will seek out the opinions of other licensed surveyors in the company. We'll call 3 or 4 of them and get on Teams call and look at it together. So we got that internal peer review right within Bolton Lake. And then costs associated with updating the GIS is covered by the grant. After we get corners with coordinates, they import it into your GIS and adjust all the line work and stuff. That's all covered in the grant. So like we said, there's a lot of stuff here. So I would imagine, you guys, make your decision as quick as possible, and the surveyor is probably going to be over here most of next week working with you guys. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some of this, a lot of this detail is going to be due April 5th. Get started on it right away anyway. And then the main, eligible expenses is to get everything referenced to a known geodetic coordinate system. That's the whole end goal, is what the state wants. So that's obviously going to be eligible for the reimbursement. And then there's specifics on that as far as the positional accuracy of that corner, what data it's going to be on the 2011 adjustment of some county data. And then there's actually the state's got a form, a corner form that you're gonna have to fill out for each corner, basically listing what the coordinate is. And they haven't said why they're requiring this, but I have a feeling the reason they're requiring this is because they are looking at a statewide section corner database similar to what Wisconsin has. So they're wanting all these data sheets for all the section corners that the counties are doing. So that would be something that we would submit to the state as part of the deliverable, and what was on the podcast, we can give them all that, and information that should be collected throughout the project. And then one other thing is the county recorder out of, this is an odd one, but I don't know what the charge is to record something, but they're requesting that the county waive any recording fees for the certificates. Do that anyways. They don't charge for the recording of the certificate, but that's part of the grant, is that the county recorder's got to accept those and not charge a fee for it. Some ineligible expenses. One of the big ones is, I know that the county's got capabilities, to shoot corners and stuff themselves. And you can't say, oh, I want to buy a new GPS because I'm going to use it for section corners. If the grant doesn't cover buying equipment and survey tools and stuff like that. I should mention too, the county's capabilities in shooting corners. We would be open to, including staff in this. I mean, I think they're running the same equipment we are. You got the Trimble?
Yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be open to, if you had staff that wanted to get involved, we could certainly get involved. And, obviously, the cost to the county by having a county employee, shoot a section corner or something, I would obviously be overseeing it and giving the proper procedures and everything, but we might be able to tackle more corners if you're using some of your staff for that, some of the outside manual labor. It could be a strategy to be able to get more out of the grant, or get more corners done. If you're providing some of the labor yourself. under licensed surveyors directly in supervision. I don't know, that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's a lot of other, minor things I could talk about, but I don't want to bore everyone either. You got any questions? Specific to the grant or specific to our capabilities at Bolton Maine?
I didn't get any, you said something about qualifications or whatever, I didn't get anything up from both of them. Oh, okay.
Yep, oh yeah, there it is. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, so in order to move this forward, because it's such a short time frame, we have to make a decision today on which surveying firm that we commit to, is that correct?
Probably today.
And then we've got 2 presentations so far. Is there a third
No.
one that's capable as well too?
No, we didn't get a third.
Okay,
I don't feel it's appropriate to do it right now.
right, and that's why I feel real uncomfortable that we have the short time frame. We got 2 presentations, we have to make a decision now because we have to go forward, but we're not in a position to make a decision now without further discussion.
I think that, by the end of the week would still be doable, but it's due next Thursday. I mean, I guess for me, I would, like I said, if you guys, I know you gotta discuss it first and everything, and it takes a few days, it's already Tuesday, maybe we get word by the end of the week. I mean, I would dedicate pretty much my full week next week to getting that LOI out, out for you guys. Yeah, I could make that work.
We get enough discussion in this later.
Let me get our closed session, just continue the discussion.
So leaves, I don't feel comfortable doing it in front of you.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And
Both Nick and Kyle are here. They both have some opinions to share too, information.
Joe, just a question, quick. Joe, could you expand a little bit on your experience or your past work knowledge of quarters within Pipestone County? How much work can be done out of the city?
Within Pipestone County, I guess I'll have to admit not a lot. Yeah, I guess that's an answer. I haven't done a lot outside of Pipestone County. Like I mentioned before, we don't really get into doing private boundary surveys for private citizens. We're more, looking for cities, counties, and states. I guess to expand on that, I have been appointed the Faribault County Surveyor. I've done remonumentations, township-wide remonumentation projects in Jackson County, Nobles County, not township-wide, smaller remonumentation projects in Nobles County, and then all the remonumentation work we've done in Faribault County. We've been involved with large scale, or I've been involved or having the opportunity to work on some large scale overhead electric transmission projects and wind projects, which require township level plus section corner remonumentation job. Done a lot of large scale projects like that, not just the onesie twosie boundary surveys for farmers and stuff, but what we're talking about today, large scale township wide projects. One of the transmission line projects I worked on was 70 miles long and had like 450 section corners or something we did across Jackson, Martin, and Faribault County. So yeah, not specific to Pipestone County specifically, but a lot of section corner experience.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
11 o'clock. Go into the film section.
Mr. Chair, I move that we go into closed session, discuss pending litigation. And as is permitted by our attorney-client privilege.
Motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Stand by. Okay, Mr. Chairman. No, I think she's gonna be out.
Call to order, the Board of Commissioners in closed session. Those present are Luke Johnson, Doug Nagel, Dallas Roskin, Dan Wildermuth, Chris Hollingsworth, County Administrator Steve Ewing, County Attorney David Sandy, and Nick, County Engineer. Move over to you.
Okay, to where we're at, last week I filed a response to. I had been in contact with environmental. Their attorney out of the cities, they don't want to get involved, they don't want to get involved, but they've been.
Okay,
Are we ready? Session. Personnel.
Anything further? You don't know?
Yeah, if you got time, I'd love you to say it.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
good morning.
So the first request I have for the board this morning is kind of a unique one. It's for redemption of credit cards. So actually Amanda noticed this on her statement. She's like, it looks like we're earning points on our credit cards. So I did some looking into it. And sure enough, there is a lot of points in there from several years of earning them. We have one account for all countywide credit cards, so there's no way to attribute it to certain departments on which. So in brainstorming ways to utilize these points, we were thinking we could cash them out because that is an option to just take it out as cashing out as $100 increment deposits into your checking account. Currently there's around $3,400 in there that we can cash out. And our brainstorming was to deposit that into the wellness account because we do struggle with funding our wellness initiatives. We don't really have any kind of funding source for that right now. So we wanted to bring forward to the board if you would consider allowing us to cash out this $3,400, put it in our checking, and then making a transfer over to the wellness account for countywide wellness initiatives. I don't know if that's what you would want to do going forward too, or if you would want to just let the points build up again.
So will disappear after a short amount of time. Okay?
My understanding is we do need to use them up or they will fall off.
Yes. That's
So
what they hope you do. I'll entertain a motion to do this.
I make a motion that we would approve this and put the 3,400 in the wellness fund.
Is there a second to that?
I will second that.
Any other discussion?
I do have questions, always. Would this survive scrutiny? And anybody said, well, it's not fair that we put some money in the wellness account instead of some other account, because the wellness account basically goes to employees' wellness. I like the idea, don't get me wrong, I just want to make sure that we're not going to get ourselves in trouble.
We're not giving cash
I
to
know,
employees, just
yeah,
like for your snack things and,
Yeah.
you know,
and challenges.
socks, things like that, little incentives to stay healthy.
Yeah, I understand that, but if somebody would come back and say, well, why didn't you give it to reduce the levy or whatever the case is, why didn't you put it back in the general fund, would we survive scrutiny?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
And everybody has a chance to use the wellness fund.
Yes.
Yeah, anyone can participate.
Sounds like a good idea.
Call the question and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you.
And we'll go up. Idea would be just so we'll let this build up again and bring it back. We can do another motion at another time. Just $3,400 will probably last quite a long time, I'm guessing.
Okay, next item is approving promotion of Rita Hazelton to public safety telecommunications coordinator at the start of the season. We would like to make that retro to February 1st, due to the timing of when advertised, and then we had 3 weeks between board meetings. I wasn't able to bring it a little bit sooner. So, Rita has been pretty much in this role since the end of, January, training into it. So I would, request making it retro to February 1st and approving her promotion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Doug. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Here.
Thank you. Next I have approving resignation of Patrick Baker effective January 30th. And again, there was a timing issue of his notice on why this is coming in 2 to 3 weeks later. And the board meeting timing.
Mr. Chair, move approval.
Is there a second for that? Second by Luke. Approve the resignation of Patrick Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Here.
Thank you. Next I have my resignation, which is really hard for me to talk about.
We're not gonna approve it, but-
Denied.
So, I just want to thank you guys for the support. The last 13 years. It's been a great place to work.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. You've been a joy to work with. I would move with extreme regret. Your support for that.
Let's go with extreme regret.
We got a lot of other discussions to take care of, I'm sure. Anybody else wanna comment?
There are no
I
words.
would. I would. I just want to say Kathy's been just an absolute joy to work with. She has taught me so much about not only my job, but her job. And I'll be looking forward to temporarily doing a lot of her personnel stuff. And I have her on speed dial, so I know some things will come up. So, but she's just been a great asset to the county, and wish her well in her new career working with Sioux Valley Energy, and we'll miss her. I will too. And with that, I do have the certificate of appreciation. Certificate of appreciation, Pipestone County presents the certificate to Kathy Feste, Human Resources Director, in grateful appreciation for 13 years of dedication and service, February 24, signed by Dallas and myself.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Along those lines, it's sad to see you go. Tell us about your new job.
Will do. We'll stay in touch.
So just, where are you going?
Oh, sure. So I've accepted a position with Sioux Valley Energy. And my main reporting location. Yeah. I'll be the manager of HR and administrative services for Sioux Valley Energy, reporting to Coleman. But there is an office in Pipestone, as you know, so I'll still be in the area, so.
I know my son is on the board of this company, and he's happy to have you there. And we wish you well in your new job. Sometimes it's hard to talk about your new job when you're at your old job, but I've done that other instances too. It's a good thing to talk about where you're going, what you're gonna do, and wish you well. So.
Thank you. I really, again, appreciate all the leadership, collaboration, and support for my position through the years. So, thank you. with that, we
Moving
have,
on.
yes. So Steve and I did look at the job description and revised that. So we do have a revised job description for you guys to approve. And then also with that, we did send it into Gallagher for recommendation, and they actually recommended a rating bump for this position. So we are changing the title to director. I think that's gonna be beneficial for recruitment, as well as I think it is a good description of the job because of directing. Even though it's not directing people, it's directing a lot of programs. So I think making it director level will be beneficial to Pipestone County. And then we just updated it really to reflect what's currently being done in this position. There's really not many changes to what the expectations would be for the future of the job. So it's pretty much just summarizing what's currently being done in the job. So I would be requesting approval of the new job description and the new rating and the salary ranges on the sheet as well.
Motion? I'd make the motion, but I do have a question.
Sure.
Let's see if we get a second first.
Second for seconds.
I'm guessing that, what you list here for qualifications that are preferred would almost be required. I mean, based on, for you to be able to do all these other things, if you didn't have that level of education, I don't know how you know how to do all that stuff.
Yeah, so Gallagher actually did come back with that and question if it should be a bachelor's degree minimum. But I guess that's open to discussion. I just didn't want to limit your candidate.
And then, and in all fairness, to recruit people, like I said, to limit us. But even reflecting back on your career, when you started, you grew into the job. Not to say that someone else won't build their own job, but that's where we have to have that
Right.
latitude.
I mean, you had a college degree and whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a bachelor's degree and 3 years of experience when I started.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And with
But I agree with you, it's a lot of on the job.
on that, and with the whole, that's the intent of the Gallagher pay plan, is that you can reward people as they grow. But yet you also still have to have basic requirements set out for qualifications for the job, so.
Right, and if you get a lot of candidates and several of them have bachelor's degrees, they'll get more points for that, so they'll likely point out higher.
Right. I mean, obviously, at the level this job is, you're getting rewarded day one. As well as. Ongoing. It is amazing how many things you have to do, I know about, to know about this. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of these are really detailed. Almost
kind of-
you don't want to do. It's state specific.
Right,
Year by year, it seems like the state rolls out something new that.
yeah, Minnesota law is always changing, something going on.
They get more,
Look what we just ended up with the SST.
So one thing I do want to mention with that, and hopefully we're setting the next person up for success, is the county did sign up for the HR technical assistance program that's offered through AMC.
you know,
Right. You took advantage of that in your position as well, too, through ANC, the director training.
Right,
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, they
Yeah.
also have a pathways program.
Right,
now
pathways
for
from MACA too, for,
And those
for
are
me.
very, very helpful.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's great, yeah.
So that will be available to this person as well, the pathways, and just making sure they're attending a lot of the conferences and reaching out to our neighboring counties and utilizing Susan Hanson.
Mhm.
To
Other discussion? All in favor of making it the director with the new job description? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. It's carried.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you will be with us until,
22nd, but my last full day is the 21st. School conferences, so. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Kathy.
The surveying,
Back to the survey.
Yeah.
That's probably more important than the videos.
Yeah. Yeah, we.
you guys want to come up? Have a seat so we can, you need to talk, I can get you on audio, please.
Let me grab Bill or
If you want to, yeah, go ahead and grab Bill, yeah.
for the sake of the meeting.
You know, it's not as simple as saying, well, that we could let them know by the end of the week. No, with open meeting laws, we've got to decide either today or we have to set a special meeting.
And we can't set a special meeting quick enough to.
No, because we have to have 3 days, 4 days notice for a special meeting, so
The only other one would be Emily, if you wanted, if she wanted.
Oh, is she down there?
No, if you
Oh, okay.
was there, maybe. He had an opinion, but.
I talked to her about it.
yeah.
What's that?
I talked to Emily about getting this data and.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not an issue, okay.
It's all public knowledge, so.
Yeah.
that's a meeting
Oh.
here.
Well, it was just mainly the format, how she can export it, how we can get it to somebody else remotely, so.
So basically, whether we've got a way to close the cons.
More research. Maybe to get done. I'm not familiar with either one, you know, I'm just going by what I heard today.
Right.
Is it a plus or a minus? I think it's a plus.
Okay, and if I may, I'm on the other side of that. I do have some experience. I do have an opinion, but I'm hesitant to express that opinion, you know, meeting, because I don't want to slander anybody. So I'm interested to see what everybody else's opinion is.
I'm good, interested what the staff think. I mean, you guys work with them.
I don't know if we work with both the main and setting section corners, nothing comes to mind, not saying this happened. But most recently, we worked with Desmond Gibbon. But I know Butel Mosing used to do a lot of work for us. So those are the two that we working together on that side. I have nothing bad to say about either of those two. I've worked with Bolton Mink and some other things. I don't know if we're surveying stuff, but I have nothing bad to say about that either. So it's like, I really wish I had something to offer to scale, but like Doug said, it sounds like Bolton Mink probably has more resources, but then I think the other one has done more work around here, be my guess.
So we got more history. We got more history with Hotel Mosey.
I do,
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
Emily could maybe confirm. She would maybe know, you know, like there's a lot of stuff there.
Sure, yeah, well,
So I mean, if either you're just.
We'll get Emily to come
I don't
down.
know. What's that?
Emily's gonna come down,
Oh,
Kathy's gonna call her, just have her come down.
One of the things with him, with a different presentation is that they are doing it. A small amount, small, 300,000 per year. To prevent giant corporations from doing the whole thing, you know.
don't know if that's
Good, considered giant or.
I don't.
I don't know. I, you know, he pointed out, he works. I should sit there for the city, sorry.
He said county a couple times too, in that city.
Yeah, so, no, I see that was here. Exactly. I think we gotta look at. Who can do what's got. If we're done, no problem. Well, that's what I kind of wondered when they mentioned, the fuel tel mentioned doing work for what, Lion, Lincoln. And I'm thinking, but it's only the two of you. Versus, you know, Bolton Mink, he's only doing Faribault. This would be a second county and he has a staff of 5 under him just at his office versus 2 people.
Right, I think Dan, talking with Dan, he explained that he has been a science surveyor for Lincoln, Murray, Lyon, and is pursuing Pipestone also. So I kind of have this sector,
Right.
you know, of the area.
He's
And
already
he,
working with 4 counties besides,
and he said he didn't have the resources to do it himself, you know, just him and his son, I believe.
Right.
So that's where he's reaching out and bringing in partners to beef up his capabilities to cover the tasks that
so
are
he's
needed.
working with this Josh out of Wilmer then?
Josh out of Wilmer, in addition to the surveyor that you.
Yeah, Desmond, Jim, and I can't, I don't know what his company name is, might Jim Ranch.
But I would agree too, that Bolton may bring a different perspective, but I don't know how much you want to weigh on the local knowledge, you know, factor. I think both of them are more than capable. I mean, they're definitely, they're both very familiar and able.
Do you have any experience dealing with either or of these companies and?
In my last almost 2 years, I have a detail. But I mean, I've seen a few surveys and stuff come in. But now it's or I see more from them.
And do you have any issues with either one or?
No.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion if you entertain the motion at this point.
Okay.
I move that we go with retail motion.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry.
I move that we work with Boutel, am I pronouncing that correctly? Yep.
First president.
Yep. Yep.
Second for discussion.
Okay, second about this for discussion.
Just a question, I don't have strong feelings one way or another, but I know, Newtel mentioned exporting the data. Bolton Maine talked about coming and doing it on site here. Is there, you have a preference? Does it matter?
Well, I kind of talked with Bill not that long ago. We have the capability to export it onto Stripe. Our system can do that pretty easily and quickly. Now, typically our office would charge $1 for copies. So I don't know if that's, you know, they can get that through the grant to refund their office for that, or if it's expected of me to provide that service for free to giving them. Basically, they're getting all the rights to those files. So I don't know.
Part of the grant says they're not paying any common fees for that.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That was Bolton League's recommendation that they waive the fees.
Well, that's
I think
for
it's
five.
it's specified in the grant, but,
That was, yes, that was for filing fees, like we don't charge filing fees. Basically, our section corners go into a separate database, they're not put into our abstract reports.
their grant money was so good and, charging some of these, but you do more.
Right.
Corners. Hopefully they're in locations where they don't do more pavement.
Well, I think we can kind of work around that. Like pavement damage, you know, we try to, okay, well, this road's 100-year-old pavement, we got 10, 15 years left, you know, it's just
maybe skip this corridor and touch that later.
So maybe you really, you probably done every corner on the blacktop. Over the years, I mean, the highway department is probably done every corner. So I heard there's going to be a lot of big ones. Do they have GPS coordinates too for them?
We do, but we're not registered surveyors, so they're
I
not.
understand, I've been digging up the black part,
But if they
they're
got,
probably there, right, like, right there.
if they got a GPS head start, they don't have to tear out a great big.
It's like, I know,
That's what I'm saying, yeah, they've been through every blacktop in the county in the last 20 years. So
When
I
did
don't
you start
know.
using GPS?
No, I'm not saying the GPS part, that they can easily find them on blacktops. I mean, I'm not.
so like, the last pretty great job we did was County Road 13 from Highway 30 down to County Road 2. I'm pretty sure we had, or Desmond, Jim and came and set all of those. Now, if it's an overlay, we wouldn't dig up corners, but on a regrade, we would. Because that's where we can kind of change the road a little bit, and get it back.
But he probably didn't record them.
I'm just saying how easy, I'm just saying how easy it probably is to find them on block. Right, because.
I would say there's a higher probability that it's already on blacktop.
Get to a ground road, and if there's a piece of wood in the ground, then yeah, there are fun.
But I would assume if Desmond did the survey and set those corners, he's gonna have knowledge of that and it's gonna be a benefit in the project also.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess. Whoever has the most corners out there would maybe. If they do, or less research time or something, setting, you know, maybe you can get more out of that.
And they've done them apparently a bunch previous.
You talk between Mosing and
Yes.
Desmond, yeah, they've done quite a bit of work. There's more surveyors that have done work in the county too, but I mean, I'm just comparing, or just talking about the two that.
But those are probably ones that aren't business anymore,
No,
or there, so.
no, there's one from South Dakota, we see quite a bit, who's registered in Minnesota too. Okay. Yeah, I guess if I had to guess, or I would say based on what we see, we've done the most work with. Mosing and Jim. But I'm not saying bad about both, maybe my experience. Good,
Right,
so,
no, I know I've worked with them obviously with Barry too and other
yeah,
water projects and whatnot.
so
Yeah, they're fine too.
I can't offer much help on this, unfortunately.
My only question was more on capacity.
Asking how much are we gonna get for the money too, because Bolton Bank seems like they have better equipped, better staff. We're willing to come here and have an office here, whereas Dan, they're kind of all over the place, how much time they're really gonna both places. Any presence.
So how many monuments will they get done? That's kind of.
Yeah.
For 250,000.
And they're willing to come in here, do the work, we're not even gonna pay for that data to go out. You know, they're willing to come in here and do it in here, I don't know, that's a savings right there.
And this grant, if it does evolve into a multi-year grant, we can also, we're not tied to one firm, we can change down the road.
And Bolton Bank also mentioned that they could use county staff since we use the same equipment. That would also be a little bit of cost savings there.
I mean, that could be done with either. Yeah, to be honest.
I
That
think,
question wasn't answered, actually, Bolton Bank, to me, it'd be a lot more in-depth presentation, what can and can't be offered. Me, I don't know, I know he was nervous as all get out, but he sure gave me a lot more information.
Are we really that scary?
Yes.
I think either of them would want us to supply the backhoe with the worker and if we reimburse all, which.
But that wasn't spelled out at first by Dan, I mean, Bolton Bank at least said that what we would, what we would be on the hook for it. And all.
You've done.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about
And
that.
even, again, if you take it easy on back over and you can do more monuments with the grant.
Just cover our costs, you know.
I mean, do you have a survey person that could help out, like, Bolton Mink was suggesting?
Manpower, I guess, you know.
What time of year?
Depends on the time of year.
Yeah.
If they come in during overlay, it's like,
Nope.
I can barely answer.
Nope.
You know, but everybody else is gone, so.
Nick, your crew already knows where a lot of these monuments are at. With the survey they've already done, you know, it's not gonna be,
So that would be helpful.
Sure.
Too, to have a staff person and say, yeah,
we found this one before.
Yeah. It's like right here.
Yeah, and we could give that file an email, so. I think. I'm not the survey guy, so I can speak too much for him, but I would.
Sure that. Maybe it'd be a county benefit, sure.
Oh, absolutely, we always work with anybody, like whenever someone comes in and says, hey, what do you have for information in this section?
Yeah.
Here you go, here's everything, just give us whatever you said.
Put this information out, like say public information, but it's not like, you know, harmful.
Right, it's always beneficial to us to get stuff like that done, so we always.
Well, can I call a question?
Call the question.
Mr. Chair, I call a question.
The motion has been made by Dan, and supported by Chris to Dan Bolton of Bolton Mosin Surveying apply for the grant for us. Does not mean that they're gonna get the work. They're gonna apply for the grant. Is that correct?
We appointed our county surveyor for the
For
project.
the first year grant process, we'll work with them.
If they're gonna apply, they're being designated county surveyor,
So this is official,
Yes,
at least they're not for this grant.
but if we don't get the grant.
Right.
we'll get the grant.
Exactly, so.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
I,
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Passed 4-1.
Just another comment, I know part of the letter of intent also identifies, you know, is the county, if the grant was not available, would the county be pursuing the remonumentation of the county? I'm assuming that answer would be no, correct? Since we haven't done anything previously, so.
financially, I think it'd be a burden for us.
Correct. Yep.
At 150K per town.
Yeah.
Times 12. 1.8.
Mr. Chairman, one other order of business with that, you have resolution 59-12-24 in there, which is a resolution for the remonumentation surveyor for research, surveying required under the Public Land Survey System Preservation Grant Program. I specifically left some blanks in there. Kyle and I discussed it last week, as we don't have the total number of public land survey corners. We don't know the number of those that are certified either by number or by percent, or how many we actually have left at this point. So
And that's why Dan's gonna have that done by next Thursday.
pretty much,
So I can
yep,
Fill this in.
Right.
yep. So,
We're just approving this, contingent on him being able to come up with those numbers.
and I think he will too. And this also does list Kyle's office, Environmental Services Department, to be authorized to submit the application of up to 300,000 and act as our fiscal agent.
Just curious, are you planning to apply for 300,000 or?
I would assume.
Well, it's up to, it's whatever. You'd want to go for the max.
Right, and then, yeah, take whatever. you
Right.
want, but
It also depends on our calculation of
Right, whatever these numbers.
what number
are,
is
how
and
you score,
what our
or-
revenues were for under designated for 2021, which is about 5.3 million is what we had in the last audit I found for that. So that'll have to be calculated out, but they won't know it till.
They did both indicate, talking with both of them, that the resolution doesn't need to be done now, but I mean, it's something I think if you're gonna do it. Now would be as good a time as any, but it's not.
You wanna wait?
Resolution's not due till April.
That's what I understand, but
Versus-
Steve and I were told, you were told that it has.
Yeah, we're
Letter of intent and resolution.
resolution for intent and resolution need to accompany it.
You're different things from different people.
I think do it, and if they don't, we'd send. Then
Right.
Like, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the resolution, the number on it.
59-12-24.
Okay, is there support for that? What's that? Luke supported that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. For me.
Got a lot to add now.
That'd be interesting to see what comes about that.
Yeah.
At some point in time, we'll have to decide where we will start.
Right.
Want you to know too, I think this came up really quickly.
It did.
It
My
didn't
first
give us
email
much
was a
time
week and
to,
a half.
yeah, it's like,
Wish we could add.
well, it's like, hey, okay, and we said, we got this coming up like right now.
I think there's been 11th hour changes to it.
Yeah, it must have been good, so.
And that's why they phased this whole process out, so it starts with letter of intent, and then it's, the final application is, April or later, so.
I mean, it's another example, just like cannabis.
I'm saying the
or
exact same
paid
thing.
family leave, or, you know, they have all these big programs they wanna roll out, and then they have no guidance,
Yep.
tight timeline, you know.
I'll tell you what the rules are.
But hope it works out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Start thinking about where,
What's the most beneficial place to get out of here?
Well, yeah, but Dan, he said that we had to do it home made, so we had to basically figure it out first, so. That's what they're-
Yeah, well, like whenever they come up with for certified corners, we'll just see, I'll probably start by seeing which ones are each township. Right, and we'll see if there's a huge gap, like, oh, yeah, this township is.
I think right now, based on our current lat long that you guys have surveyed for the corners, I think there's a void right around the Holland area right now, but.
I'm gonna put a plug in for the rural areas. We've got, Highway 30 going across, 23 cutting across, 75 going up, and we don't care where their monuments are, to tell you the truth. And our blacktops also are, most of them have been
Established.
So
I'm guessing that a railroad probably.
I asked the railroad,
Yeah.
about the railroad question, and got a blank stare, and said, well, I'm sure they do.
But that wouldn't be part of the public land survey points. I think those would be railroad data, right? It'd be railroad information that they would want, but it wouldn't tie in with this every half mile or.
Oh, you don't
quarter
think any of
section.
them intersect at all,
Do they, Nick?
hopefully?
It would be very random looking at a map of the railroad if they would hit right on the corner.
Right.
But again, the railroad owned this land before it was ever plotted out.
Well, no, I know. I'm just thinking of the problems that could occur if that happened to be the case.
Yeah.
Dispense with committee reports,
Postpone until next meeting.
that sounds good.
Works for me.
The motion to adjourn. So move. Everybody wants to stay.
Yeah, so I will second that.
All in favor, say aye. Right. All same sign.
It goes into your data, your electronic.
I got up early just to do my committee.
Although,
I'm just going by.
Thank you.
So technically.
I hope I don't regret this in the future. Yeah, I was pretty much.
That's our purpose.
And the position.
Then I.
So it's just gonna come down to our labor, getting on your system. Salaries were totally track. But
So no parent.
if they're phasing it out, you know, but they have their own.
That's rare. For the